And good to have you, Sagar, on Definition Day India. And Sagar gonna talk about Helm chart hooks, right? That
Oh,
is going to be an interesting topic. And Sagar is joining us from IBM. He is a developer, evangelist, and software engineer at IBM, working on a lot of technologies ranging from Java, Kubernetes, and Golang, and Terraform, and a lot of cool stuff he's doing around IBM. So Sagar, could you
Hi
introduce
Karan.
yourself? And
Hi
yeah,
Karan.
hey.
Hey everyone.
hi.
Yeah, I hope you are all doing good and great. It was
Yeah.
amazing talk so far. I've logged in since 10 a.m. and I'm enjoying each and every
Yes,
talk.
yes,
I'm
yes.
just
I
trying
can see
to.
Sagar is live since 10 a.m. and the content is so good that Sagar is not willing to go off.
Yeah,
I
I
can
took a day off
understand that.
today just to attend all the
Oh,
sessions.
fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, Sagar.
So
So yeah, we are excited. We are super excited to learn about Helm hooks. And by the way, it's a very alien topic to me right now. I have not spent any time on understanding Helm hooks. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to be very informative for me.
And for me as well.
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Oh, good.
and thanks for the
All right.
introduction.
So you can
Let
share
me
your screen,
share
Sagar,
my
and
screen.
you
Yeah,
can walk us through the topic.
sure. I'll be sharing my entire screen. Okay,
Yeah.
Yes, it is coming
so
up.
let's
All right.
start
So
the
the floor is all
slideshow.
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Karan. Thanks once again, and hi everyone. So today's talk is on the demystify Helm chart hooks, and basically it's a very specific topic, right? And the reason why I choose Helm chart hooks because it's very underrated, but it's very impactful and useful thing that you can play with Helm charts, right? Now, before we begin on the Helm chart hooks, if you guys don't know about Helm chart, basically it's the way to deploy an application into Kubernetes or OpenShift containerized technologies. Uh, Before Helm chart, basically we can have an YAML, like let's say we have an front end application or back end application which has deployment.yml or service.yml. Then typically we can use kubectl apply commands to deploy the application, but the whole orchestration is somewhere missing by using those commands, right? And there are certain things that you cannot do, like the very basic thing is you cannot change the parameter at the runtime, right? So for those kind of purposes, Helm chart comes into the picture, and it solves that purpose very impactful. And you just have to write the chart, the templates, and just parameterize it, and then you can use it, right? I For this particular demo, I have a dedicated repo wherein I have created a Helm chart, which will have all these templates for this demo. And if you've gone through that Helm chart, you will definitely learn like how we can parameterize those stuff and all, right? So let's get started. So what is a Helm chart hook, right? So what happens is when you deploy an application, right, there is an application lifecycle which takes place uh, in terms of when the Helm chart works, right? So what happens is it first parses the template, replaces all the variables, then put that YAML into the Kubernetes. Then Kubernetes will work on that, and the object got created. For example, let's say if I have a pod.yaml, and let's say if I run kubectl apply command, then what happens behind the scenes? First thing happens is a object called object of kind pod is created in etcd. Then a trigger comes into the play. Then the controller takes over, and then it gives a direction to kubelet, and then kubelet spins a container, and then the pod is created, right? So similar kind of life cycle happens when things works with Helm also, right? So what happens is there are certain use cases wherein you have to do some processing or a post processing. Let's say if I'm deploying a database on a container, right? And when I'm upgrading my application, when I'm upgrading my database, there are some use cases wherein you have to take backup, or you have to restore certain data, right? Or you have to create some data, you have to add some data to your database, right? So those comes under the pre-processing and a post-processing, right? So those kind of use cases can be covered using the Helm chart hooks. And in the demo that I'm going to show today, I'll be covering that part, right? So you will see like how practically we can use the Helm chart hooks. Now, how Helm identifies whether it is a hook or not, right? Hook is not, it's not an some different object, right? It is similar to any, it can be any Kubernetes object, it can be a pod, it can be a job, it can be a secret, right? But how Helm identifies whether it is a hook or not is just by adding an annotation. So for any Kubernetes object, there is a annotation field within the metadata, wherein you can add an annotations to it, right? So if you have this specific annotation in that YAML, right, then Helm identifies it's an Helm chart hook. Now, next is there are different types of hooks that Helm supports, right? And all the hooks are based on the different life cycle of a application deployment, right? So there are different life cycle. We have install, upgrade, delete, rollback, and test, right? Test could be a separate use case, but install, delete, upgrade, and rollback is a very it's the main life cycle methods within the Helm chart deployment, right? And for every lifecycle method, it supports pre hook and a post hook, right? So if you count this, then we have total of 8 lifecycle hooks, and one hook is for testing your application deployment. Now, purpose is specific. Like, let's say you have deployed an application, you just wanted to make sure whether your application is working fine or not. You can have a template which will just check whether the pods are running, whether the health APIs are working or not, and that you can specify in the test hook. But the other hooks are lifecycle hooks. For example, the example that I've took, right, before doing an upgrade, I wanted to take a backup, because in there could be a case wherein while upgrading my database, I'm adding some data which is not relevant or which is incorrect, or the upgrade itself got crashed, but I have to take the backup of my data, right? So this can be done by using the pre-upgrade hook. That is, before doing an upgrade, run this particular set of commands to take an backup, right? So this is where we can use the pre-upgrade hooks, right? So in nutshell, these are the lifecycle hooks that Helm supports. You just need to specify the value of it, and the I'll show in my repository how to specify that, but you just need to specify value in this particular annotation. Now this is a very important thing, because this processing isn't temporary stuff, right? Then you have to delete those objects as well, right? So let's say I have a job which will take a backup, and this backup will only takes place when I upgrade my database, right? But after upgrade is completed successfully, I don't need that job to be present there, right? So there are certain things. So this policy is supported by Helm, wherein you can add the deletion policy, and this deletion policy is of three types. First is before hook creation, second is hook succeeded, third is hook failed, right? So before hook creation is before Helm applies your hook object within the Kubernetes, it will delete any previous hooks, right? Second thing is hook succeeded. That means when the job is completed, I'll come to that point, how you will decide whether the hook is completed or not in the next slide. And third one is the hook field, right? So this is something you just have to, again, you just need to specify this as part of the annotation, which is hook delete policy, right? The default deletion policy is before hook creation. So if you haven't specified anything in your template, then the default one which will takes place is before hook creation. uh, this is also an important. Now it could be a case wherein you have multiple hooks. Now again, let's take the same example. Now before upgrade, the one task that I've specified is taken backup, right? Now there could be multiple steps. Now one step could be is to send in notification to an admin that the backup has been taken place, and this is the details of a backup, right? So for that also you have a hook. Now you have two pre-upgrade hooks. Now what could be the order? What could be the order, right? You have to specify an order, because these are the steps of automation. So first step is to take a backup. Second step is to send in notification. So the way it works in
Hey, hey, Sagar.
specify the, yeah.
Sagar, I think there's some disturbance coming at your side. Can you try to check the headphone jack if that is unplugged? We can hear you, but there is some disturbance.
Is it better now?
It is not. It is not.
Just a minute. Let me plug it again.
So Can you try to say something? You're on mute.
Is it better now?
It is clear. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So sorry for that. So
No
how
problem.
much?
You can reshare your screen.
Yeah. How can you let me know like how much I lost in between, like so that I can resume it?
Yeah, I think one slide back. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Okay.
Mm,
Apologies for it. Okay.
No problem. You can share your screen.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go back to a slide again. So we were on this slide, hooks deletion policy. Okay. Now what happened? As I said before, these are the temporary operations or an automation step, right? Now let's say we have a job which will take the backup before an upgrade. Now if the upgrade completed successfully, I want that job to be deleted, right, by automatically. I don't need to run a separate command to delete that job, right? So how to achieve that? So to achieve that, there are deletion policies that you can specify within the helm chart hook annotations, right? So there are three deletion policies that helm chart hook supports. First is before hook creation. The name simplifies it. It is like before creating any hook, delete the previous hooks, right? Second one is the hook succeeded. So once the hook executed successfully, I'll come to that on the next couple of slides, when how we will decide whether the hook is succeeded or not. And third one is the hook failed. So in both the cases, in second case, if the hook got completed successfully, you can the job get deleted automatically. And in third case, if it got failed, you wanted to delete a job. In case of success, you don't want it to delete a job, right? So all this you can just specify in the annotation itself, right? And if you haven't specified anything in this annotation, right, so the default policy which will takes place is before hook creation, right? Now next point is also one of the important aspect of it, because what happens, this is a kind of automation I'm trying to achieve via the helm chart hooks, right? Now the automation it could not be a case where it's a single step automation. There could be multiple steps involved, right? So the first step in our, let's if we take a same example. So the first step, let's say I take a backup, right? Second step is I have to send a notification, because how come my admin know this is the backup name, this is the backup location, this is the steps to restore the backup and all, right? So I have a two-step automation. First step is to take a backup. Second step is to send a notification to an admin. So for that I have two hooks, pre-upgrade hooks in place, right? Now how to decide an order, because this is in particular order. So to decide an order, you can use another notation which is hook wait, and you can specify an integer, right? So 0 1 2 specifies that 0 is the first one which will execute, and 1 is the so it goes from a negative to positive, right? So any negative most value, if you specify, that will be first executed, and then the value which is greater than that, right? So this is how you can specify the execution order. Now in this particular slide I've mentioned that you can the hooks get deleted when it is succeeded. Now how can we decide whether the hooks execution got completed successfully? And in my earlier slides I have said that hooks is nothing but a Kubernetes object, right? So in that case, uh, if it is a pod or a job, and if it is completed successfully, then helm knows that this hook is completed. Otherwise, if it is any other object other than pod and job, right, it will mark it as completed as soon as that is loaded into the Kubernetes. Loaded as in, as soon as the that particular object is created into the Kubernetes, right? So for example, if you it could be a case wherein you can treat secret as a hook. It could be a pre-install hook. So that means in a case, there could be a case wherein you have to create the random password for a database connection or for authentication, right? And for that purpose also you are using a hook, right? So that could be a pre-install hook. Now, and that is a secret, because you will load all those values into your deployment and pod objects respectively, right? So in that case, as soon as that secret is created, Helm treat it's to be a completed, right? And so now the next piece is the demo, and the demo is important because all this thing that we have discussed so far could be easily understood by the demo that I've planned for this particular presentation, right? And so what I'm going to do is I have taken an example of a MySQL database as a container. So I will deploy a MySQL database in containers, right? And the use case is once the installation is done, I will seed the database with some data, right? So for adding the data into database post installation, I will use post install hook, right? So this is how I will demo you post install hook. Now next thing is I will upgrade my database, right? Now as I've already taken an example, before upgrade I will take a backup, so I will use pre upgrade hook. And then what happens accident, so this is an intentional mistake I have done is uh, sorry, so after the upgrade I will add some more data, right? In version 2 there is some more data that needs to be added. I will add the data. Now the addition of data, I've intentionally made a mistake there, that I've added a wrong data, right? So once the upgrade is completed successfully, and once the test run after it, right, in test we got to know that there is a the upgrade, the data which got added in the upgrade is wrong, and then we have to roll back it to the previous release, right? So then we'll use helm rollback command to roll back it to previous release, but then we have to restore the previous data, the data that we have the data that we have backed up in the pre-upgrade hook process has to be restored. So that for that purpose I will use post restore hook, right? And then we will install the application, and I will also show you the use case of a post delete hook. Basically in my whole demo, as the MySQL database is deployed as a container, right? So to persist the data of MySQL, I'm using the host path as a PVC, persistent volume claim, right? So I have to delete some data because that data will there in my Kubernetes node. I don't want that data to be there, so I will clean that data, right? So for that also I'm using the post delete hook, right? So this is how I have structured the demo so that you can understand the install, upgrade, rollback and delete scenarios, and you can use it as your reference when you're developing something which deals with Helm chart hooks, right? So let's switch back to demo. Hey Karan, I am just doing a quick check. Am I okay with voice so far?
Hear me now? Hello, can you guys hear me now,
Hey.
Sebi?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, sugar.
Yeah. Am I okay with voice so far? So then I'll switch to demo part.
Yeah, you can
Yes,
switch
yes,
to the
yes.
demo. It's all good.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So before switching to demo, what I've done is I've created a repo, and it's the dedicated repo which will have all the artifacts, right? It will have the Helm chart and the code, and also and readme which will have the step by step guide. So this readme also contain the presentation images that I've showed, right? And also it has a documentation that you can just follow, and you can also run this demo by yourself, right? I will show you the demo. Okay. So what I've done is I have a Kubernetes cluster setup. It's a single node Kubernetes cluster, right? And there are two terminals. Okay. So first step that I've showed is I will install an application, right? So I have this, I will just a simple command helm install, and the so MySQL is the name of the Helm release, and this MySQL is the path where the Helm chart resides, right? And before that, so when I run this command, what will happen is first the all the artifacts got installed, and then the post install hook will run, right? So meanwhile it is running, let us watch what happens behind the scenes. If you see the this is the container which will have MySQL running, and this is the pod for a post install. Now you can ask me like why it is failing and why it is erroring out, right? Because what I've said is the what happens is the how the hooks work is, as soon as the MySQL object got created within the Kubernetes, right? As soon as the deployment for MySQL is created, it creates the post install hook, right? But what happens is the MySQL container will take its own time to get it completed, right? Because it will run a container, it will do all these steps which is required, right? And in that case, the because as it is a job, right? As it is a job, it keeps on trying creating the post install job until it is completed successfully, right? So there is no harm if it is erroring out or not, because it's a idempotent process. So it will just add the data as soon as it connects to the MySQL, right? So if you see, previously the state is erroring out, then it is container got created, and then it is completed, right? And then once, and I have also set the deletion policy, so it got deleted. Now before moving to the next part of demo, I'll quickly show you the YAMLs so that you can also correlate this with the demo piece, right? So this is the MySQL Helm chart, okay? And this is the templates. So if you see the template, there are certain templates which is specifically for the MySQL. So the ns.yml, deployment.yml, and service.yml is specifically for the MySQL deployment, right? So these are the standard. I will not go into this. But what important piece I wanted to show is the YAMLs for the hooks, right? So let's take an example of post install job, right? So this job is nothing but it's a Kubernetes job, right? And the way I define it to be a Helm chart hook is by using this annotation that I've showed in you that I've showed in the slides, right? This is a post install hook, right? So the Helm identifies that I have to create this job as soon as I install the MySQL, right? And you have also seen that the job pod also got terminated. Why? Because we have set the deletion policy, which is hook hyphen succeeded. So as soon as my hook got completed, succeeded. Now how it is succeeded? Because it got completed. So it got completed, then it is terminated, right? So these are the two important parameters which is which respect to Helm chart hooks. And rest is simple Kubernetes job, right? It depends on you what you have written here, right? So for taking and backup and other stuff, I am using this particular Docker image, which is databack slash MySQL backup. uh, okay, so this is the YAML for a post install job, right? And let me show you the values.yml. And here this is the beauty of a Helm chart, is you can parameterize all your important parameters within the values.yml that you can change at the runtime, right? Because I have so many parameters that will be changed. Let's say this, because this post install job is a Kubernetes job, right? And I have created a custom Docker image for it. So then I have to provide the name of a image here, right? And the last one I wanted to show is there are two folders, because this post install and post upgrade are the custom jobs that I've written something, because I am adding a data here. So for this I have a Docker file and the script. Okay, now let's switch back to the demo. So we have install in MySQL. Let's just verify whether the data in the MySQL got present or not. Okay, so the way we are verifying the data is, I'll just copy this, I'll exec into a pod, okay, and then I will log in with my credentials. These credentials are hard coded in the Helm chart. You can just verify. Why the host is MySQL? Because my service name is MySQL. So I'm logged in into the MySQL console. Now the database name is Universe, and the data that I've created here is the list of the superheroes. So these are my favorite superheroes: Iron Man, Spider-Man, and the Captain America. Right. So this is the data I've added into my database. Okay. So we have verified the post install hook, added the data to my database. Right. Now next thing is we'll upgrade the Helm release, and you will see that there are two jobs which that will get started running, right? So just Helm upgrade, the release name and the chart. I will not change anything in the Helm chart. I will just run a simple upgrade. So when I run upgrade, you will see that the pre-upgrade hook got created. It will take a backup. It got completed, then terminated, and then the post upgrade hook got created and terminated, right? So the pre-upgrade hook created a backup file, and it stores into the Kubernetes node itself. For that, I have created a PVC, and then the post upgrade hook is added the data into my database. So let's see what data is added into this, right? So mistakenly Bob is added, and Bob is not an superhero, everyone knows, and it's not my superhero as well. So Bob is added. Now what should I do next? As I know that before upgrade, the release that I've used is stable and it has the exact data that I want, right? So what I'll do, I'll simply roll back the release, but in the rollback process I will also restore the data, right? So to restore it, I'll just use a command rollback. For every release there is a release number, right? So the first release number is 1. After upgrade, the release number is 2. Now I wanted to go back to release number 1, right? So I have to specify the release number along with the release name, and you will see some similar thing happening here as well. So when I run a rollback, the the rollback process will trigger a post rollback job which will restore the data, right? Now let's quickly verify the data got restored or not. Yes, so data got restored. Bob is removed from the database, right? So this is the lifecycle thing, right? And when I just I can just remove an application by just running this command, and it will uninstall the application. Okay, I'm into pod. It will uninstall an application. So if I run this command, you will see that the pod got terminated successfully, right, after some time. So this is what I wanted to show you as part of a demo. The last piece, the last slide is this one. This is the repo link. Karan I'll share this with Karan and he will share with you, or maybe I can share it in a chat. And these are, you can connect to me via Twitter or LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with you and we can discuss more use cases around Helm chart hooks. I typically used to do this kind of thing, like I use technology and then try to create some use case out of it, right? So thank you so much, Karan.
All right, great.
I-
Sagar, mic check. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you,
Can you
Karan.
hear me? Okay, we can also hear you. Okay, fantastic. Just doing a check. So yes, Sagar, it would be great if you can share those links right in the chat so that people who are interested, they
Yeah.
can check it out.
So I'll share the
And
links right away.
Yeah. Was Yeah, great talk, Shar. I didn't knew about Helm hooks. So
Yeah, me neither. Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah,
looks very interesting, and I think now I can think about more use cases where we can use Helm hooks, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and we also have a deep dive about Helm that we presented yesterday, by the way, in our team.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, I'm considering adding maybe a section explaining this because yeah, I think it makes sense.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Jagat, one more
And
question from Shiv Kumar is that are you using Helm 2 or 3? I guess you're using 3.
Helm 3, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Helm 3.
Good. So you got all right. So Sagar, thanks a lot for a great talk. Great
Yeah.
thought-provoking ideas are coming to me. Like maybe we can use it in a very different ways to maybe release new apps as soon as I change the secret, right? Because that happens in production a lot.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
so fantastic. Great talk, Sagar.
Thanks,
Sagar,
Karan.
anything else you
And
want to share with the team?
no,
Yeah.
just an apology for a mic thing. Other than that, thank you so much. Thank
That
you so
happens.
much.
You know,
Yeah.
Happened. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thank
no
you.
worries. Yeah. All
Take
right.
care, guys. Bye bye.
Thank-